and welcome to YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab, and as always, I have some fabulous guests today, and I'm just so looking forward because, as those of you who watch the program know, I always learn something from these amazing people, and I know I'm going to today again. So welcome to the program, Jan Leasure, and Jan is the managing broker of Monterey Rentals. She does some amazing things, very much of value and interest to our community. And I'm so looking forward to hearing what Jan has to say to update us and bring us current and clear up some of the misconceptions that I know float around the peninsula about short-term rentals and long-term rentals. As a realtor, I get questions every day about what can be done, what can't be done, what are people trying to do. So Jan's here to set us straight. Welcome to the program, Jan.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know I know you're off to Hawaii shortly, and so on and so forth. Pretty soon.
Yeah. But we are headed into our high season, so we're gearing up.
Yes. Well, I think first of all, I want to just address for people that may or may not know, what is the definition of a short-term rental on the Monterey Peninsula? I know there's a lot of misunderstandings. Some people have some old notions of what they knew in the past that no longer applies. So what is the current definition of a short-term rental?
The legal definition is a rental for less than 30 days. Mm-hmm. The industry definition means anything that is rented other than a full-time residence. So in other words, somebody might stay longer than 30 days, but the property is fully furnished and equipped and designed for temporary occupancy, not meant to be a full-time home for somebody. So the definition that the local jurisdictions use to define is a little different than the industry.
Mm-hmm. And what are the implications of short-term rentals versus long-term rentals in our beautiful community on the Monterey Peninsula?
Well, this is a resort area, of course. Yeah. So, we have a lot of visitors. A lot of people want to come here to vacation and for other reasons.
Sure.
So, for those of us who live here long term and have been fortunate enough to live and work here and make this beautiful place our home, right. We kind of expect to share it with other people who come here and visit. Mm-hmm. And some of those visitors are here just for a couple of nights. Mm-hmm. Some are here for a month or more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I know that in the past, people have often purchased homes with the expectation that they are going to rent them out for some of the major events that happen. Obviously, we've got Car Week, we've got the golf tournaments, and so forth.
Yes.
So talk to us about that, what's happened and what will happen in the future.
We have some jurisdictions where that is allowed. In Pacific Grove, for example, some houses are licensed for rental less than 30 days. In other jurisdictions, the minimum rental period is 30 days. So somebody coming for one of those events would have to sign a contract for a 30-day rental. Whether they stay the whole 30 days or not,
it's up to them.
It's up to them. I mean, obviously, we can't tell people that you have to stay in your house that whole time.
Right. So, Jan, it seems to me that Pacific Grove has really been kind of the leader and the front runner in this whole story. Would that be true, would you say?
Well, they have recently.
Okay.
The short-term rentals in Monterey County go back decades.
Sure, of course.
This area has a history of being a vacation destination for people. But Pacific Grove in 2010 adopted an ordinance that permitted rentals for less than 30 days with a license and with the payment of transient occupancy tax. And they did develop what was a pretty good ordinance. They have refined it over the years, and unfortunately recently kind of got off in the weeds with regard to how to administer the program. And so it's gotten a little messy lately, but I think it's all going to survive. A vacation rental is a travel option that the traveling public demands these days.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like it or not, it's coming.
Yes, the future is now.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that we are all going to look back on this sort of wrangling that we're doing with the short-term rentals, maybe in 10 or 20 years, we're going to look back and say, what was all the fuss about?
Yes.
You know, this is just part of the way we live today. It's part of the way we do business. It's part of the way that the sharing economy works. But for now, we're wrestling with the problem.
Well, and it's very true. And I know, you know, as a real estate professional, I'm really clear with people to get a handle and really understand and what are their expectations, to manage their expectations. Don't expect to buy this property thinking that you're going to make all of this rental income on these short-term rentals. Those laws are in flux. They're changing. Even when you and I have been speaking over the past couple of months, things are changing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And anybody who buys on the peninsula, whether they buy for long-term rental or short-term rental, they should not buy with the expectation that the rental income is going to pay for the property.
Absolutely.
The purchase prices on the Monterey Peninsula are too far above what the property will generate in rental income of any kind to expect to pay for it. So the rental income should be looked at as a bonus, as a luxury, and as adjunct to offsetting the costs of the ownership.
Right, and what their investment really is, and you and I talked about this a bit, and you corroborated what I tell people, which made me feel really good, to get it from another professional, is, you know, you buy a home in Carmel for the pleasure of living here, and also with the anticipation, no guarantee, as we always say, that we have no crystal balls, but the anticipation that you're leaving a legacy for your children, your grandchildren, with a beautiful piece of property in a very magical part of the world. And so I like having the conversation about, you know, if you get some rental income, yahoo, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Exactly.
And the big picture is really the lifestyle and the appreciation.
That's right.
Yeah. Tell us more about your specific company, Janet. I know you've been in business for a long time, and you're such an icon in the industry.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really delighted to have you.
We have officially been in business since 1986. I am personally a real estate investor, and so I owned and managed my own properties, even going back before that. I was an educator. I taught school here locally on the Monterey Peninsula. I taught high school and college here. But the business officially started in 1986, and I think that, in all modesty, I think that we have become the model of how property management is supposed to work. We answer a lot of how-to questions for the general public every year. We get a lot of phone calls from realtors and mom and pop landlords and others who want to clarify legal things that they're wondering about. They want to clarify investment objectives, things like that. So we're able to help them with that.
And I'm one of those realtors that calls you.
That's okay. That's great. And we're so happy to do that.
And she's a great resource. By the way, I'm just saying I actually called her this morning before we came on the program. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gave you some rent.
You did. You did. And it's a wonderful, I'm a real believer in using professionals. Whether it's, you know, your dentist, your doctor, your lawyer,
everybody,
your realtor.
CPA.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the quality of information and so forth is just so invaluable, and it keeps people from making very costly mistakes.
I think so. I'm really happy when somebody calls me and says, I'm thinking about buying such and such. What do you think? As opposed to calling me and saying, I bought this and now I'd like you to do what with it?
Yes, now what do I do with it? Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Sometimes I can do that and sometimes I can't. I'm very careful not to tell somebody I can do something that I don't think I can do, because they might ask me to do it.
Well, exactly, then do it again.
Yeah,
but that's part of why you have such a great reputation.
Oh,
so
thanks.
Tell us more of the scope of the services. I know you're expanding your company a bit.
We are. Yeah. Our services include full management of long-term and short-term rentals. We also have a tenant locator service for long-term property landlords who would like us to locate a tenant for them, do the tenant screening, do the lease up, make all the state, federal, and locally required disclosures, and then turn the property back over to them for management.
Right.
So that's our tenant locator service. We are just recently adding our extended stay option. And we call that Monterey Extended Stay. That is a portfolio of fully furnished and equipped rentals that are available for 1 month or longer for people who are vacationing here for a longer stay, maybe a season.
Yes.
Or it might be somebody here who is here on a temporary job assignment, or maybe even a local person who is remodeling his or her home and needs to get out of all that dust for a time.
Or waiting for that realtor to find the home.
Yeah, exactly. We do accommodate some who are between escrows.
Yes.
They've sold the property,
yes,
haven't found something to buy yet, so
and it's a perfect
just a temporary
resource that I can have in my back pocket to say to a client, this is a perfect property for you. There's that time gap, but we've got an answer.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is a new thing that you haven't done in the past?
Well, we have been doing it, but we are just expanding it. We're promoting it a little bit more and expanding it more. I'm really hoping that some of your listeners might know of somebody who would like to rent their property in that way, or even rent their property for a long term, because we have a shortage of both those options.
Well, we do, and actually at this moment, because I want to make sure I get this in, I get so excited talking to you, and then I how do people reach you?
They reach us mostly through our website, which is at montereyrentals.com.
Yes.
They can also reach us by phone at 831-655-7840. And they can reach me personally by email at jan@montereyrentals.com, and I'm always available to answer.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure and get
Thank
that
you.
in.
I appreciate that.
I do want to circle back and just, we have a few more minutes.
Okay.
But I think the Pacific Grove lottery system and so forth, there's so much on people's minds. Can you just speak to that for a couple of minutes of what the current state is and so forth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pacific Grove held the lottery with the objective to decrease the density of short-term rentals. In other words, on the blocks where the density was greater than 15% saturation of short-term rentals, they held the lottery block by block to decrease that density. So
when you're saying in a given block, Jan,
yes,
if there are 20 houses on a block,
yes, then 20 houses, 15% are allowed to be short-term rentals, so that would be 3.
And that's in the entire city of Pacific Grove, is that correct?
You mean the density regulation? Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes. So on a block, let's say on that block of 20 houses, if there were 4, then all 4 of those houses were assigned a number to be put into the hat, so to speak.
That's
they drew
what I
one
wanted
out.
to get clear on.
Yes, they drew one out, and that lottery choice is scheduled now to sunset the short-term rental license in April of 2019.
So that has affected, what's the population of Pacific Grove? I don't even know.
The population is probably about 17,000, but there are about 8,000 dwellings.
Right.
And about 250 are short-term rentals. So about 3% are short-term rentals. So not a lot.
Not a lot. So what kind of, so say I own a house on the block and my number gets picked and I'm, my lottery number or my license, more correctly, is going to sunset. So what are my options at that point?
Your option would be to continue to have the house fully furnished and to make it available for rental for extended stay, which would be more than 30 days.
So over 30 days,
yes. Or to take the furnishings out and place a long-term tenant there, or simply to not rent it at all and have it available for owner use for friends and family, which is, the owner use is the reason that people tend to short-term rent anyway.
Yes.
Most of the houses that have licenses have their licenses because they are from out of town and they want to come and use the property themselves and for their friends and family.
Yeah.
So some owners have told us that that's what they're going to do.
So is this doing away or changing the A and B licensing situation, or?
Well, Pacific Grove did away with that a while back. They that was part of the reason that that we had an overabundance of licenses.
Okay, all right, that makes sense,
yes.
because I was confused about that.
Yes.
I thought, well, this is,
They,
okay, that makes sense.
They made all the B licenses type A, and then there were too many type A's.
I understand.
So that
okay.
precipitated the need for the lottery.
And so the people who are the locals who have purchased the homes that don't want to rent them,
yes.
what kind of energy are you feeling around town with those people?
Well, I think everybody's accepting of those folks. I mean, most of those people who buy here and can't move here right away want to be here someday.
Yes.
They want to be part of the community.
Right.
So those people come here, they get to know their neighbors, they start to participate in the community, they join the aquarium and the library, and they want to be part of Pacific Grove. So they do plan to move here someday for the most part.
Right. And with Monterey County, I know that Carmel, for example, is kind of its own unique animal in Carmel by the Sea.
Yes.
I get asked this question all the time.
Yes.
Well, is that Carmel or is that Carmel by the
tricky.
Sea? It's a bit tricky, and my GPS can't find things.
Right.
So the good news is I grew up here. I know every tree in the street, and I can find things. But the Monterey County is different regulations, is that correct, than, say, Carmel
Carmel by the Sea has a very clear ban on rentals less than 30 days. In the county, it is less than clear.
Exactly.
The county does not expressly either prohibit nor permit rentals for less than 30 days.
At this moment.
At this moment.
That's the key point of this,
The county has been working for the past 5 years on drafting an ordinance for rentals less than 30 days. I hope to see that happen sometime in my lifetime.
Yes. Oh, Jan, that's a worthy endeavor. That's a worthy endeavor. Well, thank you so much. You have really educated me. As always, I learn something and get clarity about it. And I think that you are a great resource. Tell your website one more time.
Good. It's www.montereyrentals.com.
Great. Thank you so much again,
Thank
and have
you.
a wonderful trip to Hawaii.
Absolutely.
And we will definitely, I'll keep calling you and putting you to work.
That'll be great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This has been Your Town television program. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, we have great guests, great information that you can take and use every day and share with your friends. And please do use me as a resource, Paula Joy MacNab. My phone number is 831-333-6261. And I'm with Caldwell Banker in Carmel. You can reach me if you have any questions about real estate or about this interesting topic that we shared with you today. Thanks for joining us.